Hello, Talking for Josh and the Anime Curious. My name is RandomSama613 and welcome to another tag video. This time I was tagged by Lou of Sitting by the Window Anime Reviews. I will go ahead and annotate his original video right around here or so. And this is just an anime tag video. And there were 10 questions that were posed and I'm going to answer all of them. So the first question that is asked is, what are my most and least favorite genres of anime? I'd have to say that definitely my favorite genre of anime is going to be the sci-fi genre for sure, specifically kind of the cyberpunk end of things. For cyberpunk, I think more like Psycho-Pass, Serial Experiments Lain a little bit, and Ghost in the Shell are prime examples of what cyberpunk is. So those are definitely my favorite genres, genre rather. Cyberpunk's kind of a subset. For my least favorite genre, I'd have to definitely go with the harem genre, or the ecchi genre. Now let me be a little more specific because this can be kind of polarizing. When I say harem, I'm talking about the cookie cutter harems, the ones that basically 3/4 of the writing is done for whoever does them, and they don't have to do anything else because they already have the tsundere, the lolly, blah 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 blah. And those are the ones I hate. I find them to be generic. I think that they dilute the medium a little too much. And I don't enjoy them at all. I also find overly ecchi shows to just get on my nerves, and I don't like them. I have found rare ones where I do enjoy them, and upon occasion when I just want something in the background that I'm not paying any attention to, sure, I'll put one on, but they're by no means my favorite genres and all. I definitely would put them at pretty much at the bottom of my list. Now the second question that's on the list is, are there any anime that were so good I read the manga? The answer is yes, there are. There's only a couple, because for the most part I read the manga prior to the anime. The exceptions to this were Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is still to this day one of my favorite animes, and because it was so good, I read the entire manga. And unfortunately the manga got cut short, but apparently it's been re-syndicated in Japan. So I'm hoping that Viz Media, if they're hearing me, still has the license to it, and go ahead and start releasing the volumes here again, the bound volumes when they start coming out in Japan. I'm really hoping that happens. The other anime that did that is Scrapped Princess, but I don't really count this one because the manga has little to do with the anime. It was released after the anime came out, and it only has to do with the same characters. The storyline is completely different. And it's mostly just one-shots. So, as much as that series made me read the manga, I would argue that it's not as big of it doesn't count as much as Black Lagoon. But number 3 on the list is, what is my favorite power in an anime? And this one took a lot of thinking because I've seen a fair amount of anime, and there's a lot of really cool powers out there. But the one I went with is Shirai Kuroko's power from a certain scientific railgun, and that's just the ability to teleport. But the way that she teleports is she has to kind of calculate how she teleports in her mind, and she can only go so far when she teleports. She can't just teleport across the city. She can only teleport, I think it's like a maximum of like a couple hundred meters. So I really like her power. I think it's interesting. I think that she can also just transport whatever she's touching, including herself. So I really like that power, and I think it's interesting, an interesting take on the teleportation ability. Number 4 on the list is, what is your best moment in anime? This moment actually comes from Black Lagoon, and it's in Roberta's Blood Trail, when Rock goes crazy and gets super manipulative and finally just unleashes his inner, like, kind of darkness, basically. That kind of starts to show itself in the last arc in Tokyo Gangster Paradise, and it starts to kind of show before Roberta's Blood Trail, and I think that definitely the best moment is when he finally just unleashes his inner mastermind, and you get to see him just be evil and crazy, and it is delicious as all heck to watch, and I absolutely love that moment. Number 5 on the list is, what anime cliffhanger annoyed me the most? I've been talking about this one a little bit on Twitter, and that was back when Bakemonogatari was originally released. It only ran for 12 episodes on Japanese television, and then the last 3 were released over the course of, I believe it was 6 months online. And I think it was that 6 months that just was the most obnoxious cliffhanger, because it left off the last 3 episodes of Tsubasa Cat, and the whole just resolving the remainder of the series and Hanakawa's stress and having to wait 6 months to do this. It was so obnoxious. So that is definitely the worst cliffhanger ever. Number 6 is, who is my favorite anime reviewer? I thought about this kind of hard, and I have to say it's definitely a tie between Giguk of Anime Zone, and Arcada of Glass Reflection. However, there are so many other anime reviewers that I watch, such as Lou from Sitting by the Window, Miyana from Miss Random Badger, Holden from Holden Reviews, Dr. Daza from Fighting for Nippon, Yokorama of Yokorama Game Talk, and Happily Aaron. And they're all fantastic. I'll probably put a list like Lou did right along here with all of them annotated. And just it's impossible for me to really choose like a favorite because I watch so many different reviewers and they're all so good. I don't have my subs list public on this account. I might change that, but pretty much anybody I'm subbed to is also a very good reviewer, and I greatly enjoy watching what they do. Number 7 is, if I owned Avatar: The Last Airbender, would it be on my anime shelf? And the answer is no, it would not. Because, as I believe it's Nino said from Anime Editorial, it is not an anime, it is anime inspired. And I know that the argument can be made that anime specific in Japan refers to any animation, but I would argue in the American context that anime is a specific art style. So I'm going to link his video again right around here. He says it much more succinctly than I ever could, but I would argue that Avatar is not an anime, it is anime inspired. Number 8 is, what anime do I think doesn't get enough love? Well, first off, I'm again going to link you to one of my videos. I just did this recently. There's 6 anime there. I'll probably also link you just below that to the live stream I did with Lou and Miyana and Andrew, and I mentioned another one there, but I'm going to mention 2 more actually, because even though I only wrote down 1, there's definitely 2 that don't get enough love in my book. One of them is The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga, which is, if you like the Warring States period with Oda Nobunaga, take all of the main characters and generals, make them cute girls, and transport somebody from the future who's played a ton of video games having to do with Oda Nobunaga into that, and let it go. And it's definitely a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's definitely one of the more enjoyable harems I've ever watched, but it also has a lot more going for it than just a typical harem with typical characters, and that's another reason why I really like it. The other series I'm going to mention is Rene the Flower of Lagrange, which broadcast, I think it was 2 years ago, something like that. And it's a mech series kind of like Macross, not Gundam, and it's an interesting series. I don't want to say too much more than that because that will spoil it. But it's a really good mech series, but it has a lot more to it than just the mech. It focuses on the interpersonal relationships between the 3 main characters and the factions and the galactic factions, and it's really interesting, and I really enjoy it. And I think that not enough people have watched it because it's relatively moe as well, and I think that shouldn't turn people off from it because it's still a very good series. Number 9 is, what is my favorite relationship or bond in anime? This one took a lot of thinking because there's a lot of really interesting and really fantastic relationships in anime. And I finally settled on the relationship between Hachimaki and Tanabe in Planetes. And again, I talked about this a bit in a review that I will, of course, link right there. I just really enjoyed that relationship. It takes the entire series to finally come to fruition. And I think it's just really interesting how it goes back and forth, and it takes time for their feelings to develop towards each other. And it's realistic, but it's also very sweet and very well done, and that's why I like it so much. And then number 10 is, what is my favorite anime? Now, like Lou, I don't really have a favorite anime. I have a lot of anime that I say are very good. And it's hard for me to choose just one from them, so also like Lou, I chose 5 different ones. Now, I'm going to say that I did cheat somewhat because I chose franchises as well as just anime in general. So the first up is the Type Moon Primary Universe, which for this I'm going to count as Tsukihime and the Fate Universe, because I'm not sure if Garden of Sinners is included in that. And Fate Stay Night is one of the first series I got really invested in, and it's one of the first franchises, and Type Moon is one of the first companies that I looked for everything they'd done. I found Fate Stay Night, then I found Unlimited Blade Works, then I found Lunar Legend Tsukihime, then I went to Garden of Sinners, I found Kanon that way, Fate Zero, and everything that I've found that has been touched by Type Moon has been fantastic. So definitely Type Moon's Primary Universe though, which is just Fate and Tsukihime. Another one that I really enjoy is going to be the Raildex franchise, which is Railgun, which is a certain scientific railgun and a certain magical index. If I had to choose one series out of all 4 of them, plus the movie that are out, I'd have to go with probably Railgun S, although Index 2 is a very close second, because they're both very good. And that's just That's essentially magic versus science, and it's a lot of explosions and fights, and it's a really interesting built-out world that I really enjoy. And that's another one that I just greatly like. Of course, I couldn't leave this list without Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is probably the best action anime I have ever watched. I routinely rewatch it. I watch it at least once a year. It is just that good. I would say that Roberta's Blood Trail isn't as good, but it's so fantastic. It's all really, really good. And if you like action anime with really good plot, really interesting characters, it's definitely one that I would watch as well. Next up, another favorite of mine is Monogatari, the first season, which is Bakemonogatari, Nisei Monogatari, and Nekomonogatari Kuro, or Nekomonogatari Black. And I just really enjoyed that first season, in quotes, because that's what they define as the first season. I just really enjoy all the stories from that. I think they're more cohesive than the second season, and I just really enjoyed the way that the characters build in the first season. And the final one on my favorites is going to be Cowboy Bebop, because it's an absolute classic. I absolutely love it. It's completely enjoyable. It never gets old to me, and I greatly enjoy it a lot. So now comes the time when I tag people in this video. I'm going to be tagging Corey Anime or Jonas. I'm going to also be tagging Holden's Asshole, Subs and Dubs Reviews, Miss Random Badger, and Valmar Wings. I'm going to tag all 5 of you guys. Go ahead and have fun with this. This was possibly the hardest tag video I've ever had to make. I will say that a lot of these answers will change if you ask me again. As Lou said, same kind of deal. It's really difficult to choose some of these, because there's a lot of anime out there that I've seen that are fantastic. There's a lot of characters I've seen that I absolutely love. There's a lot of series that I think just not enough people have seen. So it's definitely difficult to make a video like this. And have fun, guys. So go ahead and leave your comments down below about what you think about my choices. And if you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, go ahead and dislike it. But I've been RandomSama613. This has been an anime tag video on anime opinions. And until next time, watch more anime.